And, one of the most bizarre features of our society now, and it can be explained, is that we are effectively committing suicide. We are the honored recipients, the inheritors of one of the greatest movements that the world has ever seen, that of Western civilization. And in the early days of my life, I was quite a critic of Western civilization, and I've always felt very much the pull of Eastern ways of thinking. And that's not unusual in the Western tradition. There are plenty of people in that tradition, Whitehead above all, who has. Um, but increasingly, I feel it's so important not to be robbed of all that is miraculously good in it. Things that we take for granted, like the idea of the balance between an individual and society, neither dominating over the other, the idea of democracy, the idea of the coming together of knowledge across the sciences and the humanities. These things are terribly important. And I think that we're losing sight of them. And if you wanted to destroy a society or a civilization, what you would do is you would obliterate that culture's past, and you would say that it was toxic and terrible, and you would leave people in a very vulnerable and disorientated position in which they didn't know what to believe or what to doubt. And I think that's where we've gone. Now, I'm not suggesting, above all, I'm not suggesting that a critical mind is not important. I've always tended to be a little irritatingly sort of on the other side of whatever argument is currently going on. So, I mean, I call I call myself a believer among skeptics and a skeptic amongst believers. So I do think it's very, very important to hold both sides of, or many sides of anything you're talking about. But that is now rare. And what Ralston is doing is offering people a grounding in their own history and culture, in the humane ideas that have emerged from it, and really to understand and live that, not just to sort of check box a few ideas, but to sort of internalize it and live it as a way of being in the world.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I feel exactly the same. And, one of the interesting things about Ralston is that in some ways it sometimes can feel like a drop in an ocean of chaos, like here's this little thing
Yes.
that is just, but that's actually how seeds function. That's how the difference in quality. And if you can form even just a few people with extreme with the quality they need to kind of be transformative people, that's how the future is made. It's actually not made through mass transformation. It's made through the transformation of people.
You're so, so right. And I can't remember the precise wording of it, but the famous quote from Margaret Mead that never doubt that a small group of people can completely change the road or the path of a civilization. In fact, nothing else ever has. So, I
Yes,
mean,
right.
we really require these small groups of people who um, they don't have to become fanatical. They only have to truly believe what it is they know and know what it is they truly believe. And that's a huge contrast with the generality of public discourse these days, where I think there's a lot of dishonesty. I think there's a lot of pretending. I think there's a lot of um, pretending to believe impossible things and dismissing things that are clearly true because they don't happen to fit a political ideology. So I think we really deeply need to get back to people who are grounded in an awareness of, in a scholarly study of the civilization that we represent, not at the exclusion of any other one. In fact, one of the things about Western civilization is that it has been open to the influences from the East, going back to ancient Greece and then coming through to the Renaissance. There are important strands that come here from Eastern and from Judaic and other roots that are not, Central European ones.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You see it in, you know, even I was reading the Legends of Alexander the Great, and he does this great trek to India to meet with the Brahmins, the naked philosophers, and so this is something that's
Yes.
been around forever, like this idea of this
Yes.
connection to the East. Yeah, definitely. Mm.
And there was a great trade between and movement of ideas between India and the Eastern Mediterranean a couple of thousand years ago. And I think that it's no coincidence that Heraclitus seems almost like a Taoist. I'm sure that such ideas must have come to Greece at around this time.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so everyone, all the young people that are watching, this is your call. There's something beautiful happening in Ralston.
Mm.
Inscriptions are open. If it's something that you're thinking about, if it's something that if you want to go on an amazing adventure, and it's hard to describe how wonderful what it is that they go through is, because it's completely imbibed. They live together, they eat together, they travel, they go to Greece, and I mean, if I was in my 20s, I would be fighting to get to Ralston, that's for sure.
Yes, that's right. And if I had had to, design a small new university college, it would be along the very lines that Rawson has. And I
Indeed.
just want to say, if young people are thinking about it, that I really have never been in an intellectual community that seemed to me so benign, in which people were very bright, imaginative, absolutely non-dogmatic, um, you know, open to things, interested in learning, and it's just a joyous experience being among them.